Thank you, Rachel, for joining me today.
Thank you.
We've known each other for some time now, and then this got rearranged, so it's felt like a long time coming. And I know that a lot of people have kind of watched your journey and are interested in it. So I wanted to leave this one as a roundtable discussion where everybody gets involved. I know Natty's just joined. Hi, Natty. And Natty was someone, he was like, what happened to Rachel's event last time? So yeah, please get involved, everyone. I've got some questions, but they really are just prompts for a conversation. That's okay. I'm a little bit nervous about this. So I don't normally do it this way. So I might hand over to you, Keith. You're the podcaster.
Oh, that old thing. Yeah. Oh, you've got this. You've got this, Sarah.
Okay, so thanks again, Rachel, for joining me. And the first question that I had for you was about just what was your journey like in becoming an MVP?
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah, for the opportunity. So my journey, the question you asked on my journey to becoming an MVP. So it was just more of contributing to the community and trying to learn. So the main goal then, when I started contributing to the community, I was just looking for like a channel to learn. Because when I started my journey, I noticed that I was not seeing much difference with what I was learning. I was learning on my own. So after attending a boot camp, I was also attending textilers. Then I started learning on my own. And I noticed that, okay, from when I started my journey and where I was then, I was not really seeing a difference. I just knew at least the basics, but not really the basics. And I was like, okay, what's the best way I can actually learn that will make my journey a bit faster? So I was like, okay, why don't I find the opportunity to actually teach others? Like, why don't I find the opportunity to teach others, even though I had like the basic knowledge about Power Platform then, just the business value, how to build three-screen view application, and then a few flows. I was like, okay, I need to actually teach people and then work on projects, because with teaching people, my journey became a little bit faster. I was seeing the changes from the knowledge I had before with the knowledge I had then. Yeah, kind of past tense. Yeah. So it was more of contributing to the community to learn. That's how I started and got to being an MVP.
Do you find that kind of helps you to learn, like relaying what you've learned to other people? That help things sink in?
Yeah, something like that. It helps sink in. And if I have the opportunity to teach others, I have to actually research more. I have to take more time to actually learn that. Like maybe I'm reading a learning part now. I read a learning part for the first time. And most times I might not see, it will be like everything is hidden. I'll not see everything on that page. I'll have to come back to it and read it again. So I have to take more time with studying than when I was just doing it on my own. Because if I want to teach others, I have to actually at least understand a bit of what I want to teach others. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. I don't do very well at learning by just reading or even watching videos. It's kind of relaying it. And think, I don't know, I think my mum was asking me about AI and ChatGPT and didn't know what it was. And I was telling her quite confidently, whereas if you asked me, do I know anything about it, I'd say no, but then actually saying what was in here out loud, I thought, no, you do, you know enough, so I totally get that. And what was the first thing that you did then were you mentoring, or how did it start with sharing that from a kind of teaching perspective?
Okay, so after completing the boot camp and also attending Textilers is a big community for women, and now recently they started like teaching Microsoft technology also open to men also. So after attending the boot camp and also the program, I got to a point where I actually had no idea what was the next step forward. Like I was confused. And I was in Nigeria then. That was in 2022. And I was seeing a lot of people around me. They were all into data. They were pursuing a career in data, or they were already a professional in data. So it was kind of difficult for me to know what the next point was when I had like these people around me. So I thought about, okay, let me go for data. But when I noticed that data was not for me, I reached out to Epedonan, Fui, Mary Myers, and Azure. I reached out to them and I asked them that I would love to know how their journey, like how their day-to-day looks like with Power Platform. Because definitely Power Platform is amazing. You can do so many things with Power Platform. But then I had no experience of how it's like how people actually were using this to work and solve business problem. And I also felt that with me having these questions, because then Power Platform was not so popular in Nigeria like it is now, I felt that, okay, with so many people, with me having this question, definitely there's someone out there that also has this question. So that's why I started holding Twitter spaces. I went back to the boot camp that I attended. I went back to the boot camp and asked them that I would love to be a part of the organizers, like the people who teach in the program and organize the boot camps. And then from the Twitter space, I reached out to two members in the Nigerian community so that we can host weekend classes for people who are interested in learning Power Platform. Yeah.
Yeah, they look great. I can't say I've been on any of them, but I've seen them posted. There's some really interesting, great women on Textilers.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant initiative. Just out of interest, I mean, when we were talking earlier, you said that you kind of go to the community events to learn and feedback to your team. Do you find the same thing, that you become more knowledgeable through relaying it to other people?
Yeah,
Going
definitely.
off track here. It's just something that interests me.
Yeah, because I actually put a presentation together and then I present it to my team. And yeah, definitely, exactly what Rachel said. You have to kind of research a bit more, and so that you feel confident that you know what you're talking about. But yeah, no, that I think that's the best way of learning, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's really, really amazing. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Cool.
And I think you asked me a question, Sarah. I actually did not get you.
Sorry, say that again.
I was thinking you asked a question. If you could repeat your question.
No, I didn't. But I have more questions. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to ask if there was any lessons that you learned along the way on that journey through Power Platform or any part of your career, and in the community contributions as well, if there was any specific lessons that stand out to you.
Okay, I've learned that it's important to be yourself. Just be yourself, love yourself too. Because when you're starting, especially with my journey, I started from not knowing that there are careers in tech, and tech was something that anybody could come into. So I had a lot of difficulties, apart from at least some physical things that were disturbing me, like my laptop. The laptop I was using then, they had to be light for me to actually use the laptop. And also I was going to school, had to be going from ninth class to ninth class, and also trying to study to be in tech. So I'll just tell you to love yourself, be passionate about what you want, and also set a goal for yourself, like have a purpose. What is the reason why I want to do this? And what has also helped me too is that I've learned from a lot of people in the community who I've communicated with, and people I'm looking at from afar. They are very humble, they are very kind. I've noticed that people who are so far in their careers, and what has been helping them is that they are not proud. They don't look down on people. So yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Actually, everyone's lovely, aren't they? And really kind of willing to help. So yeah, that's great. Is there anything that you wouldn't do that maybe you did? I know some people maybe regret overcommitting to the amount of blog posts that they've sort of said they're going to put out, or Keith, you're a big one on this, kind of, getting a pie chart. I've seen your pie chart for kind of getting the right time balance.
Yeah. For me, I can't say I have a work balance, like apart from work and then my own personal contribution. There's actually no balance right now. But from what I have learned is that when you are overwhelmed, try to take a step back. When you are burnt out, try to take a step back and look for things that interest you. Me, I love reading novels. I love reading novels. I love watching comedy movies. So most times I just try to take a step back, and when I feel all right, then I gently go back to what I'm doing before. And one other thing too is imposter syndrome, being able to understand yourself, understand the issues that are making you have imposter syndrome, the things that are making you insecure, the things that are making you unhappy, and being able to decide to work on them. And if it's something that you think that, if it's something that cannot be worked on, just accept it. Yeah, and be yourself.
Yeah, definitely. What kind of novels do you like?
I read a lot of novels on Inkit. I read all these werewolf novels. Yeah. Yeah. And all these 1900s novels too.
Cool. I like a lot of the thriller whodunit types.
Yeah.
Bit weird like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It always makes yourself feel better. I had a friend who, and if she's married now, but if she ever got dumped by a boyfriend, she'd turn up with a horror film before Netflix and a bottle of wine. She just to make herself feel better.
Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going off track here. I'm going to lose track of what I'm supposed to be asking you. Is there any? I know you sort of said love yourself and and kind of learn those lessons, but is there any advice you'd give to someone now who's maybe looking at getting involved in community or maybe even starting that MVP journey?
Okay, when starting your journey in contributing, I see a lot of questions where people ask that what can I contribute? What can I contribute to in the community? So you can contribute to a lot. That there are so many things in the community you can contribute to. You can contribute to events. For me, I love when I attend events, I try to volunteer at that event. Like I try to reach out and ask if there's anything I could help with, or a lot of events they share forms for volunteering. I try to volunteer at events. There's also writing of blog posts. It does not have to be something so, and when talking about blog posts, a lot of people think that, okay, I have to write a blog post on something that is very complex, something that has a very long solution method. It can be a 4-line blog post and it's helping somebody out there. Like most times now, maybe I'm having an issue. I definitely have to go to my browser to check if anybody has written a blog post on it or if anybody has done a YouTube video on it. So it does not matter how simple that thing might be or that feature might be. You can definitely write on it. You can have a podcast like this. You can do webinars. You can host events. You can you can speak at events, and also you can speak at events. You can contribute to the Power Platform open source. It can be a flow, it can be an app. You can contribute to the open source, and then you can do so many things. There are so many things out there that people are doing that you can actually do. You can hold Twitter spaces too. There also, if you have a Twitter account, you can hold Twitter space, or you can hold LinkedIn live events and just talk. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, contributing to the community.
And
Yeah.
I think just to come back to your point, look, if someone's blogged before, I actually think there's so many people contributing now that you can't follow everybody and you can't know everybody. So I think even if someone has written a blog before, they will write it in a different style or they might have different followers to you. So I wouldn't let that put you off if that ever did. I think it's good to kind of get things out in your style and have your own sort of opinion.
Yeah, I think I take blog posts like a journal that I'm trying to write on. That even maybe tomorrow I have an issue, I can easily go back to that blog post and figure it out. So everybody has their own style.
Yeah.
Even though somebody else has written that blog post before and you actually use that feature, you can write on it. And no two blog posts can be in the same format. There's definitely going to be a style difference in that blog post because individuals, they have different ways they write their blogs, or they have different ways they speak or explain things. So it's definitely going to be different. And there's not too much resources. All resources are welcomed.
Yeah, no, exactly. Couldn't agree more. But yeah, I definitely think people's sort of style of writing gains followers, especially for someone like me, if it's something that's quite easy to follow for I'm not going to call myself a non-techie because I already told me off for that, but somebody who's not a developer or not an architect who sort of maybe needs it a little bit more layman's terms, so things like that. Or Keith, have you got any thoughts or advice on like lessons learned or advice that you would give to anyone starting out on that journey?
Yeah, I think you've covered some great ones there. And for me, when I started, one of the things I had to get over is being a perfectionist. So I was trying to make, a pre-recorded video for an event. I think it was the Festive Tech Calendar. I've been accepted to speak, and I must have done, I don't know, 15 takes to try and get like that perfect take. And I've learned lessons since then. It doesn't need to be perfect. You can record it in sections and stitch it together afterwards using editing. You don't need top of the range mics and cameras, which I don't now. I've got good level ones, but you don't need to invest lots of money. You just really need to make a start. And then other people out there, like Rachel, like many others, give great advice of, well, here's what to try next. Or I'll see Rachel doing a podcast. I was a guest on Rachel's podcast.
Yes.
That's the first time
I
we
haven't
met.
listened to that. I'll have to find that.
Keith actually nominated me for being an MVP. Yeah.
I did, because I was actually looking up to Rachel and all of the great stuff Rachel was doing. And I thought, well, what am I doing with this award? I think Rachel deserves it more than me because she's doing so much great work and doing more work. You've been more active, I would say, in the community. And it was giving me ideas of things to try as well. So I thought, well, I want to share the love, and Rachel was doing great work inspiring others, including me. So Rachel, I thought, is well deserved to be part of the program.
Yeah, thank you.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's sort of paying it forward, and that's great. So a lot of people are career switchers. Rachel, what's your background, and when did you realise that you wanted to pursue a career in technology?
Okay, my background, I just graduated, and that was in 2022. I graduated from industrial mathematics. So from being a student to coming into Power Platform and Dynamics. And when I decided that I want to come into tech, like I said, I had no idea that tech had careers that people could come into easily. And I was trying to be, the main purpose why I got into tech then was I was trying to be independent. Like I did not want to reach out to my parents for everything that I needed. I was trying a lot of things then. I had a YouTube channel. I learned how to bake. I learned how to do events organizing. I was doing so many things then, but everything that stopped me then was money. Then my friend told me about the Power Platform Bootcamp, and I attended the Power Platform Bootcamp and fell in love with We fell in love with Power Platform. Yeah, so that's how I started.
What was your degree in?
Industrial mathematics.
It's quite unusual, I think, for people to go straight from university into Power Platform. I think that's why there's so many career switches out there, because it's not, I don't know if it's taught in university now, but certainly 3-4 years ago, you'd come out of uni and you wouldn't have heard about it. You'd stumble across it in a job. You might have come from, I don't know, we've got hairdressers, haven't we, and DJs and all sorts of career switches knocking about. So yeah, it's interesting to come out of university. Did you hear about it at all in university, the sort of low code world?
The bootcamp was the first time I heard about low code or Power Platform. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then, I mean, it's a couple of years now. So have you faced any challenges during your career?
Okay, I face challenges with imposter syndrome, at least every day. I face challenges with imposter syndrome. I face challenges with trying to hide myself, trying to not be seen. I face challenges with learning, where I've noticed that, okay, maybe I'm not really seeing a lot of changes, and then trying to figure out how to work on it. And when I started working, I faced challenges with knowing the fundamentals because apart from even coming into Power Platform itself, there are a lot of things that one needs to learn, like learning about how to solve a business problem with Power Platform, not just understanding Power Platform, but being able to solve a business problem with it. And also understanding database fundamentals. Like I had no idea that, okay, Rachel, you need to sit down and learn. You need to sit down and learn relational database. So I had a difficulty with actually figuring that out, that I needed to learn that. Yeah. So that's mostly the fundamentals.
Yeah. And what about the sort of softer skills side of things, and the consultancy or dealing with maybe stakeholders? Has that been difficult, or have you had good mentors internally with that?
Okay, I've had good mentors, and I've always looked for opportunity to work on myself. So throughout my journey, I've been working side by side on my technical skills and my soft skills, because I noticed that from the beginning, I noticed that I'm not a very good speaker. Like I have stage fright. I don't know how to communicate clearly in the way that people will actually understand me. Because when I started, I was attending event like this, and I will ask questions, and the speaker will not understand what I have said. So I actually had to work on those. So that has helped me a lot with me working now. And with working, I have looked for opportunities that I could give presentations internally, teach others. Yeah. So it's been amazing, but still a learning process. But yeah.
It's really interesting because when to meet you, you're so bubbly and confident. You'd never guess that there's any of those nerves or anything behind it. It's just I don't like that big smile. The first time we spoke, you were like dancing. It was
Yeah.
just like real kind of fun energy comes from you. So it's interesting, and I think it's quite reassuring for other people as well that may have imposter syndrome and
Yeah.
don't challenge it, hide behind it. I think a lot of us can be guilty of that, just waiting. And probably more women than men. I've had this conversation a lot, want to perfect that, well, whatever it is they're doing before they go and shout about it and talk about it. So
Yeah.
I actually think it's quite brave to challenge yourself in the way that you have and go out and talk about things that you're not necessarily sure you understand. There's only a couple. I've been talking about it a little bit lately, and there's a couple of women that stand out in my mind that really kind of go out, but they have that sort of imposter syndrome, and don't need teasing out quite so much as
Yeah.
others. So no, like hats off to you for that.
Yeah, and I think one thing, and I think one thing too is that understanding that imposter syndrome is normal, because that was something that when I started my journey, when I was having so much imposter syndrome, being able to understand that it's normal and almost everybody has it. And I think when I saw a post on Twitter, somebody that was already 20 years, 25 years into their journey in tech made a comment that most times they feel like an imposter at work. I was like, okay. So me, I'm just starting and I'm having imposter syndrome, meaning, okay, it's fine. Everybody has it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it's good that people talk about it so much.
Yeah.
And it is good to have the events and the socials and the user groups and all the different kind of platforms that people are able to talk about it for others to realise that.
Yeah.
I don't know any other group of people, any other community. I've worked in different areas of tech in the last sort of almost 7 years now, and I don't know another community like this where people are so open and share so much personal feelings. You know, it's kind of frowned upon, isn't it, in some companies and industries, but it's great. I'm going off. I know I sent you some questions, but I'm just interested. What's next? What do you see in your future? Because you're so early in your career already.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan?
I think I'm not very organized to have a plan, but for now, I'm planning to speak more at events, to work more on my speaking skills, presentation, work more on my technical skills. And yeah, so I think big goals, but those are the basics for now. And hopefully, maybe Ignite. I spoke at Microsoft Build this year. So I'm planning that with fingers crossed that I get the opportunity to speak this year at Microsoft Ignite.
Amazing. Yeah, you're not doing bad, are you, so far?
Yeah.
You kind of touched on this earlier about kind of motivation, but sort of the independence, which I totally resonate with.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that motivates you?
I think my motivation is more of being passionate and loving Power Platform, and also the community. And another motivation is my family, being able to provide them a better life. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Totally get that. And then my last, it's not a question really, but I was just wanting to give you an opportunity to talk about your podcast. And for anybody, this is recorded, so anybody watching it back that's interested, just tell us a little bit about that, please.
Okay, I host a podcast called A Girl in Love with Tech Podcast. I I got the name from, I have a Medium account where I just wrote on my bio, A Girl in Love with Tech. And when I thought about the podcast, I just felt, okay, A Girl in Love with Tech podcast is nice. And from on the podcast, I invite individuals in the community, like kids who have spoken on my podcast. We discuss about Microsoft technology, how to get started, different features and capabilities of that particular platform. So it's amazing. Yeah. And it's on Spotify, Audible, my YouTube channel. And I also live stream the podcast to my Twitter accounts, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Yeah.
Amazing. So I'll make sure there's a link to that in the
Okay.
in the event post too.
Yeah.
That's all my questions. Thank you. Is there anybody else on the call that's got anything to ask or say to Rachel, or even anyone else? Shameen?
Yeah, I was going to say that, when do you know it's the right time to start posting technical stuff? Like, if you're not an expert in what you're doing, because I know that the Power Platform community is quite forgiving, but I specialize in Power BI, and the data community is not as forgiving. I've seen people's dashboards picked apart on LinkedIn. I've seen, all sorts of quotes. When do you know that it's kind of safe, to start posting your technical? Because all my posts are like about soft skills so far, but I'm not confident about, but because I've seen other people's work being picked apart. So when do you know that it's kind of okay to start posting in, technical stuff?
I think it's not thinking too much about it. Like when I started, the posts I made then, most of them were incorrect. I think the Power Platform community is kind of, yeah, very, very forgiving. That's true, because nobody picked apart my post. They just corrected it or just left it alone and just told me, Rachel, you're doing great. So, but I would think it's just to take it a step at a time and don't think too much about it, because if you think too much about it, that is going to hold you back. And if you also think about what people are going to say, how people are going to talk so much about, like how they are going to just come to your post and start just saying different things that they are not supposed to say, that is rude. Yeah, I don't think too much about it. Just do you. Yeah.
Okay.
Like it.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
Heath, did you have a hand up there?
Yeah. Thanks, Rachel. That was really interesting what you've covered so far. What do you think about mentoring? Do you mentor others, and do you have any mentors yourself?
I don't mentor others directly. So it's more of okay, people reaching out to me, and then I tell them resources they can go through, telling them that they can reach out if they are stuck or have any issues that I can help with, connecting them with different communities they can be a part of, and maybe answering any questions they have about being active, career paths, on how to look for a job or stuff like that. So I don't really have time for like direct mentorship. And then for mentors, I have different mentors. Everybody's my mentor. I have different mentors in different parts, maybe speaking, maybe I attend an event and a person is giving a presentation and I love the way they speak, the way they're giving their presentation, maybe technical or soft skills. I just try to pay a closer attention at them, maybe going through their posts or watching their videos. And one other thing too, I don't really work on active mentorship, because I'm not very, very organized. So because with a direct mentorship, your mentor gets to give you a task to do within a period of time. And I understand that I will not be able to meet up. And I don't want to, because I know everybody's busy, they don't really have time, and somebody giving me their time. So I don't want to disappoint anybody. So I just try to, it's not really an active mentorship.
Yeah, thank you. That makes sense. And it's good to be aware of what kind of commitments you can make and what your capacity is for time as well.
Yeah.
I know you and I, you actually connected me with someone who I'm mentoring at the moment as well, a friend we both have.
Yes.
But yeah, it was just at that time I had the time available, and you didn't, and I maybe had some skills that were useful. So that's still ongoing, by the way. But yeah, no, thank you. That's really good.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Shamin. Sorry, I thought Kit wanted to reply your question too. Yeah, thank you.
I think with Shamim, I listened to a podcast earlier with some of our mutual friends and Anya Black, and she'd made a point that when she first started posting, somebody had commented on one of her posts that just said that it was wrong, with no constructive feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like if you've got nothing constructive to say, just don't say anything,
Yeah.
But that's just me personally.
Yeah, but I think that's the attitude you should take with it as well, isn't it? Or say, well, why correct me? Because you can look at it as a learning curve, and it can be quite probably hurtful if I don't know what the data community is like exactly, but if there's a lot of people going at you telling you've done something wrong, but you might learn something.
It's quite a competitive community. It's very competitive compared to, I don't know, it's just different from the Power Platform community. Obviously, I'm in both camps, but yeah, I definitely see a difference. So that's why I'm a bit scared to kind of put something out there, unless it's like, super wow and whatever.
Yeah. And I think one other thing you can do too, if somebody comments rudely to your post, you can actually tell them that thank you for the correction, but I don't think this is very rude. You would have messaged me directly. At least when you reply them, when other people notice that you replied them, they'll keep their rude comments to themselves. It's still good
just scare them off.
Yeah, it's good. Sometimes it's good to actually reply them. Just be polite and a little rude about it, because people are very rude. And there was a time, that was in 2022, somebody was asking me a question, and the question was a lot. So I told them that they can call me. I sent them my number on Twitter, and the person was asking me that I should mentor them. Then I was actually processing my visa, and I was running around too. The person said I should mentor them. So I said I do not have the time to actually do that right now. And the person just asked me, like, what are you doing? What work are you working that you don't have the time? That was the question the person asked me. I cried, but so yeah.
I think that's a good tip, Rachel, to kind of treat them as you would if you had a kind of a client or a customer where you had to kind of manage a disagreement or something. And I think that's a good way. I think that bit will just kick in naturally for me, and just try and deal with it in a civil or polite manner, and just say, oh, thank you for your opinion, and that's it.
Something like that is good.
I think so. And again, to the mentoring point, actually, it's something that I've heard talked about previously, and you do have to protect your own time. We all get burnt out, and it can get too much. And I got to coming into the community, I was kind of arranging lots of calls in the evening and doing Teams calls till sort of 8-9 o'clock at night. And I've got a daughter and a day job, and it got too much, and you can see it, especially with me. I don't know if you're like, but I look wired. I get to that point where I'm like, I cannot do anymore. And you do have to say no. And I think for something that I heard Azure say once was if people ask her to mentor, her first response is, what have you done yourself so far? If there's anyone out there looking for a mentor, what have you done? Have you watched people on YouTube and read blogs and tried a little bit yourself, or are you just relying on someone to come and teach you? So that was interesting. Natty, have you had any thoughts today?
I think the one thing that's been resting in my mind. Obviously, Rachel, I've been following you for quite some time. It's something that I think impacts me every single day. As a community member that likes to contribute, how do you deal with those scenarios where you put something out there and you feel like it hasn't actually helped someone? So you try to help people, but it actually hasn't helped someone. How do you tend to deal with those situations? Because I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay, is it like maybe a blog or a YouTube video?
Yeah, whether you put a blog out, whether you do a YouTube video and no one seems interested, or it just didn't help with anything. It's so pointless in a way. How do you deal
Okay.
with that as a self-confidence and motivator perspective?
Okay, when I attended the Power Platform Bootcamp from the beginning of my journey, and David Abu, he was a cloud advocate at Microsoft. There's something that he said. He said that in this particular bootcamp that we organize right now, we understand that not everybody is going to take this journey seriously, or after this bootcamp is going to go home and actually learn that is going to actually continue what they have learned from this bootcamp. All I know is that I just want to change the life of just one person. Do you understand? So if you are thinking so much about it, just think about that one person that is reading your blog post. Like me, I have so many issues. Like when I started my journey, I had basic things that I needed to learn about. That's when you hear about it, to be like, okay, that sounds very small. Why are you having why are you having so much difficulties with that? So even though it's just one person that you're helping, that's a very, very big thing you're doing. Because without your blog or the resources you have shared, that individual would not have been able to solve that problem they have. So even though it's one person that is reading your blog or one person that is watching your YouTube video, you're definitely doing amazing. Yeah.
I like that. Thank you. Yeah, makes me feel a bit
Gotcha.
better.
Yeah.
I agree. And you know, it might not be helping someone immediately, Natty. That
Yeah.
content is out there. People will go looking for that at another time.
Yeah.
And it might just be you that you help. You might go back and read that blog and think, that's how I fix that problem. I've heard people talk about that too. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
Rachel's totally right.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, just it can be demotivating sometimes. As you said, Rachel, you've got people that comment on your posts with rude things, and you feel like, am I actually helping people? Then you've got on top of, well, if no one's reading it, if no one's interested in it, what am I actually doing? I'm trying to put myself out there. I'm trying to grow. But I think what you're saying is right. And as long as you're helping at least one person, you're making a difference.
Yeah, you're making a difference. Just that one person, you're definitely making a difference. Yeah.
And this just brings us back to imposter syndrome, doesn't it, Natty? I know you're terrible for that. Okay, is there anything else from the group? No? Well, thank you, Rachel. That was like brilliant, really interesting actually, and it's lovely to get to know you a little bit better by asking you those questions. Things that we possibly wouldn't have talked about, just you and I. So I think that's useful, and I think that there's things there that will help other people. The topics that we've covered, mentoring and motivation and imposter syndrome, are definitely things. And there's certainly people out there that are holding back from blogging. It's taken, you know, Natty probably was nervous to get involved. I know there's lots of other people in the community that have kind of gone, oh, am I ready? And then you go and you're in it. And look, we've got MVPs that have done that here. So yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks, Shameem, Keith, and Natty as well for being part of it.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, everyone.
Rachel.
Bye.
Keep well. Bye.
Take care. Bye now.